God morgen, alle sammen. Hyggelig å se allerede et minutt før vi starter, at det er såpass mange som venter på webinar. I got Leon Kamstein at KDAC joining us today.
Morning, everybody.
Hello, morning Leon. Thank you for attending. Som dere forstår så blir det litt norsk og litt engelsk, så håper dere skal holde ut med det. Så jeg tenker vi gir det et lite minutt til. Mens vi venter så ser jeg jo det ramler inn flere kollegaer her, så kan du si hei til Fredrik. Hei Fredrik.
Hei.
Hei, Fredrik er vårt nyeste tilskudd på CAD Nord, som skal jobbe med Product Lifecycle Management og Fusion Manage i CAD Nord. Så ja, hei Fredrik. We also got Jan Willem joining us. There are several of you guys attending today, I can see, who already knows Jan Willem, has been involved in several cases in Norway as well. So, yeah. Hello, Jan Willem. Jan Willem is also based in the Netherlands at KDAC.
Hello, everyone. Yes.
Ok, det begynner å bli en del mennesker som er med her, så jeg tenker vi kan starte. Vi skal snakke om change management med Autodesk Fusion Manage, PLM, som verktøy. Det er da en del av Autodesk sin PDM og PLM-strategi og løsning for norsk industri. Så det skal vi snakke litt om i dag. Next slide, please, Leon. Så, ja, som sagt, så har jeg jo med meg Leon, som skal gjøre presentasjonen av løsningen på engelsk etterpå. Så ganske raskt i gang. Det kommer muligheter for å stille spørsmål på slutten av webinaret, så da er det bare å fyre løs, eller kan slenge inn på chatten allerede så fort det dukker opp. Jeg vil jo tro at de fleste av oss kanskje kjenner seg igjen i at vi jobber med informasjonssiloer, eller jobber i informasjonssiloer. Det tror jeg mange vil kjenne seg igjen i. Dette er jo et begrep som ofte går igjen når man snakker om digitalisering. Så dette med informasjonssiloer er kanskje kjent, og kanskje noe man også er litt lei av å høre om, men det er ganske illustrerende. Men hva er det faktisk dette betyr da? Rent praktisk så er det jo slik at hver avdeling ofte lager sine egne prosesser, det gir jo mening, ofte med de verktøyene som er enklest og lettest tilgjengelig. Og det er jo typisk Excel og e-post, det er jo gjengangere. Det er lite fokus på hvordan informasjonen faktisk flyter på tvers av organisasjonen. Man er seg selv nærmest og sin egen avdeling nærmest. Så ja, ref dette med informasjonssiloer. Så når folk gjør jobben sin godt hver for seg, blir prosessene som involverer flere avdelinger ofte litt rotete og uforutsigbare. Produktinformasjon, selve livsnerven kan man vel si i en produksjonsbedrift, det er vanskelig å finne, spriker i kvalitet og er ofte utdatert og kanskje litt krevende å forstå. Resultatet er at det oppstår feil og forsinkelser og rett og slett ineffektivt, og kanskje enda viktigere, lav motivasjon og utfordringer med å tiltrekke seg de gode hodene eller de beste menneskene da, til organisasjonen. Så det er også viktig. De fleste er heller ikke klar over hvor mye dobbeltarbeid og unødvendig slack som faktisk ligger gjemt i det som regnes som helt normale arbeidsprosesser. Så det er mye å hente der. Next slide, please, Leon. Autodesk PLM er en unik og skybasert løsning som knytter sammen menneskeprosesser og produktinformasjon på en effektiv måte. Løsningen gir en felles sannhet. Man snakker jo ofte om single source of truth på engelsk. Men det gir en felles sannhet for artikler eller items, eller kjært barn har mange navn og så videre. Leverandører, stykklister, bill of materials, dokumenter og ikke minst endringer som vi skal snakke om i dag. Og legger til rette for kontekstbasert og rollebasert samarbeid. Både internt i virksomhetene, men også på tvers av hele verdikjeden, inkludert leverandører eller underleverandører og eventuelt andre samarbeidspartnere. Vi har mange kunder på tvers av ulike bransjer som har tatt i bruk Autodesk PLM med stor suksess. Mange av dem har tidligere hatt dårlige erfaringer med bruk av for eksempel Excel og e-post som jeg har nevnt, og opplever nå betydelig effektivisering med Autodesk Fusion Manage PLM. De har valgt Autodesk PLM på grunn av enkel implementering og til en brøkdel av kostnaden til tradisjonelle PLM-systemer. Brukervennlighet og ikke minst et veldig stort bibliotek av standardiserte verktøy eller workspaces som inkludert i lisenskostnaden. Next slide, please, Leon. I dag skal vi se på Change Management, som et av veldig mange standard workspaces som inkludert i lisenskostnaden. Så det fokus i dag. Next, please, Leon. Jeg tenker det nå det nå vi skal introdusere Leon, tenker jeg, som skal demonstrere Change Management. Leon vil også vise hvordan dette knyttet sammen med andre prosesser som Quality Management, eller mer presis KAPA, eller avvikshåndtering for eksempel. Hvordan disse tingene henger sammen. Så det skal Leon vise litt nå. Leon, would you like to continue, please, with your presentation?
Sure, thanks. Let's switch to English. Okay, good morning for you all. Before we're going to do some changes with change management, let's take a quick look around in Fusion, just some general functionality and a little bit how it looks and feels. Got some videos. When you start, you see the dashboard. The dashboard, you see your outstanding work, current work that you're working on, but also maybe some graphs that may be of interest to you, what projects you still need to perform certain tasks, etc. Let's switch to the Vault workspace now. So what I see here is all the items which have actually been designed, been engineered in Vault, and have been synced to Fusion. You see all kinds of file information, revision numbers, descriptions, viewables, everything just comes in automatically from Vault. Let's switch to assemblies now, and let's take a look at the specking machine. The specking machine will be the center of attention for the rest of the demo. Obviously, what we can see here is the bill of materials. So the bill of materials has been automatically synced from Inventor again, from Vault. And you see it's a multi-level bill of materials. Everything is there. If you would choose so, you can also make a flat bill of materials like this, where all the items are just counted together. And everywhere in Fusion, you see this green Excel button. So if you want, you can save this at any time to Excel. This is an important slide as well. At this moment, you see the change log, all the changes which has been done to the item over time are stored here. So regarding traceability, and you can always see if something went wrong, who did it, at what moment, you can always track it back. And of course, there is the viewer. So all the documents which come in from Inventor can be viewed here as well. Both 2D, 3D, whatever you want, can be viewed in Fusion. So this was just a basic look around. And now let's talk about why we're really here, about change management. And if you start talking about change management, first you have to talk about why are we going to change something? There must be a reason why we're changing something. And that usually has to do with quality management. At the bottom right corner here, there might have been a claim from a customer. There might have been returned goods from a customer. But also, Maybe there are certain quality inspections for certifications which say, okay, there's something wrong with your product, or there's certain concerns. When there is issues like these, they might end up in a CAPA. CAPA is, go to the next slide. Oops. Well, I will explain a CAPA later, but this is basically a preventative action you want to do to make sure that the problem does not come back anymore. The current case, actually, from the packing machine, we have a quality inspection problem because it says it takes too much time if you're standing at the front of the machine to reach the emergency stops at the back of the machine. So there's a safety concern. Safety concerns are very important. So it has been flagged as we need to do something about this. Once it has been flagged by quality management, for instance, through a CAPA, it then ends up in the change management section of the tool. There's also different people there, because change management, probably we ended up now at engineering, or the quality management was a totally different set of people within the company. This is quite complex image. I'm going to make it a little bit easier to read. So what is the simplified process is like this. So CAPA is the end of quality control. They say, okay, there's something wrong. Then there will be a problem report created within engineering. A change request is basically, okay, there is a problem. Let's start thinking about possible solutions. So there's also, you will see there's tasks for people, like, for instance, see what is the problem and think of alternative solutions. And if there's an alternative solution, how much is this going to cost us, right? So this is all about thinking, how are we going to solve the problem? After you thought about all of that, you give it to the so-called change control board. This is a board of people who have to say something about this. This is usually management is here involved and production is involved. They say like, okay, this is a good solution to the problem. Let's move forward to the change order, and the change orders basically do it. So in the change request, you think about the solution, and the change order, you're actually going to perform the change to the product. It could also be that the change control board says, wait a minute, we didn't have any claims yet. Takes too much money to do the change. You know what? Let's just discard this, and we're going to wait until the first claim before we do something. You know, you never know what the reasons might be. But anyway, there is an official approval needed before we can actually start changing the product. How does this look like in the application? Well, let's take a look. So first of all, we move to a different workspace called change requests. And here you see an overview of all the current change requests which are happening within my company. In the second column, you see this green, which shows the status of the current change requests. Most of them are fully done. At the bottom, there's a few still work in progress. Let's create a new one. You see there's fields here which you have to fill in. Some fields are mandatory, some are not. All the fields you see here are customizable by the user. And the nice thing about this application is customizing fields here, that is just drag and dropping it instead of other solutions where you have to start programming like a maniac. Over here, it's very easy to configure this application. Then it asks me, okay, what item is concerned? So I select from my inventor documents, I select the item which is concerned. And then the first time we get a view on the workflow. The workflow is very important because it shows all the steps which have to perform to come to the end being completed. So we start at create, of course. The change request is created. There's something like perform tasks. There's something like a review. There's something like it's completed. All these steps have to be performed. Who is allowed to go from step A to step B? Who is allowed to do certain steps? That is all configurable again in the application. Right now, I'm going to put myself everywhere as the one being responsible for the tasks. So during the demo, you will see me being able to do all these steps. In real life, of course, this will be different. So for starters, say, okay, yes, there is let's say a change order, and immediately you will see certain tasks. Why are there tasks? Because at the creation of the change request, I selected a template. And you can imagine that and this template says what tasks need to be done. For instance, if you expect that there is a software problem somewhere, you want different tasks to be done, then you say, okay, it's impossible to create it because the machine has certain limitations, right? So depending on the issue that you see, you can select a different template, which results in different tasks to be done by different people. Right now, I have a pretty straightforward one, which says two things only: develop alternative solutions and create a financial impact overview. Well, those, of course, are very common to do when you start thinking about changing something. What you see now is that I start thinking about who's going to do it and when do I want it done. So you're going to provide persons who are going to have to perform these tasks. You're going to say when it should be done. And then you will see later on in a nice time overview when everything is going to be done. Well, we'll save this and we're going to say in the workflow, okay, initiate tasks. And what will happen now automatically on the dashboard of the people who have to perform tasks, you will see the tasks emerging. Also, there's a schedule now, planning, so to speak, in days and weeks and months, whatever you want. See, okay, when should the tasks be done? And as I said before, on the dashboard of the people, you will see over here in the middle now, you see two tasks, 271 or 270, create the financial impact and develop the alternative solutions. Those two tasks are assigned to me. So every day when I log in to Fusion Manage, the first thing I see in my outstanding work is the tasks which I should work on. Also with the green flag, you'll see that I still have a little bit of time to do that. On the other hand, at the bottom, there's two red ones. They will probably show up on my manager's dashboard as tasks being behind. So I might expect a phone call from my manager saying like, hey dude, where are those tasks? We're waiting for you. Let's continue. Let's start working on my tasks. I can just click them here. It'll open a new window. And first of all, I need to acknowledge like, okay, I understand what I need to do. I'm going to do it. It could also be like that I get a task to write software. Well, I'm a mechanical guy and I don't know how to do that. Then I can just say, okay, I'm going to put it on hold and I'm going to send it back because I don't know what to do with this task. But in this case, I know what to do. So I write a nice report about alternative solutions and I'm going to attach that here to the task. So I'm going to upload my report. If I want, I can click it here just like the Inventor file before. Also Word documents, Excel documents, whatever you want, I can all upload and view those documents within the browser immediately. Once I'm done uploading my report, I can say, okay, complete the task, and we're happy, task 1 is done. You can also see that now, not really clearly, I agree to you on that, but the top task is a little bit dark green than the bottom one, which means the top task is done, the second one is still to go. So let's finish the second one as well. Again, I say, okay, acknowledge, I can do this. I'm going to upload my financial report. How much is it all going to cost? And we can just say, finish the task. Once the tasks are completed, both of the tasks in the planning are green right now. And when we continue, you can see also in the workflow, we automatically jumped back to over here because first of all, we created all the tasks, but Fusion is automatically checking if all the tasks are done or not. In this case right now, it says, okay, all the tasks has been done, so we can just automatically move forward to the next phase. And now we can say, okay, we are basically done. We're gonna submit it to the CCB, and the CCB is next in line to say something about this change request. So what did we do? We created a change request. We did all the tasks necessarily. And now the change control board has to say something about it. So what is this? This is a group of people. And we can configure it in a way that everybody needs to agree on going forward. You could also select, no, let's say 80% of the people needs to agree, needs to approve before move forward. This has to do with maybe with people being on holiday or whatever, but that is all configurable to be sure. So let's see how that looks like. I'm gonna go to the next video. So right now I'm the only person, so I'm just gonna say approve. And since I'm the only one in the group, it automatically says, okay, let's move forward. What it did then is create a change order. I just said a change request is thinking about the solution. The change order is actually doing the change, performing all the necessary changes. And just like a change request, this results in tasks. There's, of course, tasks for the change request to investigate. Now there is tasks to actually do something in Inventor or wherever you want. We'll see that in a second. I'm going to say initiate the tasks. And here you go. Here's your task plans. We have to do some mechanical changes in Inventor, do some electrical changes in ePlan, and I have to update documentation and manuals. That's all the tasks there are to do right now. Well, just like before, we're going to select who has to do the work, when I want it done. Yesterday, of course. Yeah, very fast. I don't have a lot of patience. And we can say initiate the tasks. And just like before, once you say initiate tasks, the tasks will automatically appear on the dashboard of the people you assigned the tasks to. So we'll go back to the dashboard again. And just like before, we see here, 3 tasks have been created to do. Well, one of them is do something in Inventor. Right? Apply mechanical changes in Inventor. So what are we going to do? In Inventor, the plan is to add an extra emergency stop at the front of the machine. That was the easiest solution. That was the one picked by the change control board. The other solution would wait until the first claim comes in. They didn't like that, so they picked the solution. Let's add another emergency stop. How does that look like? Well, then we go to Inventor, and you have to understand that all the items and all the documents are released. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the item, put it to work in progress. We're going to put the documents work in progress. We're going to check out. We're going to add the emergency stop. And then we're going to check in and release everything again. So we have a nice second revision of the item, of the document with this included. This probably most of you know. This is a Vault. By the way, nice to see on the right side here, you see Fusion Manage. So if you have the connector, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but there's a connector between Vault and Fusion Manage. If you have that installed and working, you will see on the right side also all your data from Fusion Manage within Vault. For now, what are we going to do? We're going to, as I said before, the item goes to work in progress. After the item is done, we go to the document. The document goes to work in progress. Just the assembly. There we go. After that, basically, we are done in Vault, and we can continue the party in Inventor. This is the assembly in Inventor. We just check it out quickly, and we can add our extra emergency stop. I'm not going to show you how to engineer that. You know that all very much better than I do. I'm just going to place it in. There we go. Nothing too fancy, just constrain it a little bit. Maybe I should speed this up a little bit. We'll constrain it in place, and then at the end, we are very happy with having the extra emergency stop in place. So what do we need to do now? The same things as before, but in opposite direction. So we start by saving. We check it in to Vault. Checking in progress. Then we can switch to Vault. We have to go back to the release state of the document. First, we go to review. Secondly, we go to released. After the document is released, we switch to the item. First of all, we're going to update the item so it sees the new BOM. And after we've updated the item, we can then also release the item. So in the end, everything is nicely released. But this is probably stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis when you work with your Vault system. After the items have been released in Vault, they are basically ready to go back to PLM, to Fusion Manage. And in 2025, Autodesk has delivered us a out-of-the-box connector between two applications, and it's a two-way direction. So once again, all the items and all the data created in Vault can be pushed towards items in Fusion Manage. And the second thing is that you can indeed access your Fusion Manage data in Vault. You see this window on the right side of the screen where you see all your Fusion properties in Vault. How does this look like then? How do you sync this? There's two ways to do this. One way, which I will show here manually, just right-click the items, say sync to Fusion Manage. And it will say, okay, I'm busy with it. And if you then switch to Fusion Manage after that, you can also just say right mouse click here and open it in Fusion directly. It'll open the item in Fusion. And you will see that at the top you have now two versions. You have a working version and the latest released version. So production version A was the previous released version. Now we have a working version which is newer because it has the new latest Inventor assembly in it. You also see that at the bottom now, revision A from the Inventor belongs to revision A. And if they go to the working version, I see at the bottom the revision B from PLM. So it knows now that we have a newer version of the document in Inventor. I said there's two ways to sync the data. The first way I just shown, manually right mouse clicking, saying sync. The second way is you can do this automatically on triggers in Vault. For instance, if you release an item in Vault, you can tell your job processor to automatically start syncing the items with Fusion, for instance. Soon, Autodesk will release some more API, which makes it easier for us to make some custom applications to make it even different if you would like to. But anyway, this is there now. This is free, which is really nice. Once we're done in Inventor, we started the change request, we started the change order, we had to do the work in Inventor, we finished the work in Inventor, so right now it's time to go back to Fusion and tell Fusion that we're actually done with the work in Inventor. So the task that I had as an engineer, do the work in Inventor, is now finished, so let's finish the task in Fusion. How does it look like? So once again, I will just say complete task. Just like before, the other two tasks my colleagues have by now also finished in the background. So I was the last task to be completed. And as a result of that, you will see that your change order, once we update it here, we press F5. There we go. It says, okay, all the tasks are completed. I can review this within my own department. And then once again, there is a change control board review. So second time that these guys are coming into play, because right now it's kind of important, because what's going to happen once we finally approve this, it's going to be released and basically ready to deliver to our customers, right? So the change control board wants to have a final say about this. Yes, are we ready to go or maybe not? Or do we want to set some kind of effectivity date maybe in the future because we want to finish the current stock that we have first? You know, all kinds of decisions that needs to be made. But at one point, we're going to say, okay, we're happy with the changes or not, of course, then we can send it away. But once we are happy, then we can say, okay, we're going to start approving this. And once we approve, and everybody has approved it, need to approve, it will automatically go and it's fully implemented now. That means that the change request was waiting for the change order, while the change order is also finished, for the change request also automatically jumps to completed. So you can also close that screen. And now we're back at the item. And we're going to refresh the screen with F5, and now at the top you see revision B. So we got to act really revision B right now. So the old one, revision A, revision B, should have the extra emergency stop. Let's check that. How can we check that? Well, we can check that to do maybe a BOM compare to the old one. We can also check the viewables that were created, of course. Let's start showing how that looks like. So let's first check the bill of materials. And you will see that the bottom 1.10 is indeed the emergency stop which was added. Note we are on revision B at the top. This is revision B that we're looking at. Nice thing to do, what I always like, is do a BOM compare. And where we can just compare different versions, different revisions of the item. You'll see two things here. Just a second, takes a little bit of time to calculate. So you will see two things. At the top, you will see something marked out in red. So the main assembly version A is no longer there because the main assembly is version B. So that was a replace. At the bottom, indeed, you will see new with the plus sign. The emergency stop is all new at the bottom. And that completes our packing machine. Of course, if the BOM is updated, then the viewable should have been updated as well. Let's take a quick look. And indeed, I can already spot it. Your viewable is also nicely updated as was expected. So this is basically the whole flow that you have to go through from the beginning, where you have like, okay, we might need to change something. It goes through certain checks. Is this viable to change this? There's approval from the change control board. Then we'll do the change, and again the approval from the change control board. So this is really to make sure that in the future in your company, no longer changes will go out which you regret very much later when it's too late. So this is really to get your whole change process under control. I think this is my last slide. That's it. Are there any questions? Or Hans Christian, do you have something to add at this moment?
I do believe that this is very good, Leon. Thank you very much. We are 2 minutes overdue, so I assume that please feel free, we can stay here for a couple of minutes if there are any questions. Otherwise, the session is recorded, so you can watch it again if there are anything you're wondering about and want to see again, etc. And please feel free to contact one of us. We got both Leon here, Jan Willem, and Fredrik. So yeah, please feel free to contact us. So yeah. Very good. And again, please share questions in the chat. We will stay a couple of more minutes. Otherwise, again, Leon, thank you so much for your input here. Really appreciate it. And thank you once again to all the attendees who spent 30 minutes of their lunch time to join us today. So I really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you very much.
Well, people are leaving already. I think there's no questions.
Yeah, we are a little bit overdue, so yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You're welcome, guys.
Thank you. All right, and I think we can end the presentation, right?
Yeah, I think so. So again, thank you, Leon, and yeah, we'll speak soon.
Okay. Ciao, everybody.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
bye.